Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Alex, and I'm a nomadic online business manager, and I help you streamline your operations in your online business so that you can manage your business from anywhere in the world. And today we're going to be talking about how to organize your launch inside of ClickUp. If you know me, you know I'm obsessed with all things ClickUp, and I strongly recommend using it as your project management tool due to the ability for it to scale with you as you grow as a business owner. You can use it from the very beginning where it's basic at its most basic form, where it's very simple without all the bells and whistles, and then as you need those bells and whistles, you can start introducing those into your systems. And if you're interested in a templatized version of managing your launch inside of ClickUp, I do have a pre-made system template down in the description below called Manage Your Launch with ClickUp. It is a pre-made template with a pre-made project plan, pre-made content calendar, and project planning document. So you have everything you need to execute your next launch with ease. So yeah, let's dive into the 3 tips I have for you today for how to organize your launch inside of ClickUp. So the first thing I recommend doing is having all of your tasks connected to the launch in one list, mapped out into 5 different phases. I have a separate video going really in depth for those 5 different phases, which I'll link in the description below. But truly, I recommend having them inside of a list due to the size of a launch. Let me clarify what I mean by a launch. So when I mean launch, I mean you are hosting some sort of launch conversion event, like a webinar, like a challenge, even a wait list, or some sort of creative alternative option to where people are coming together in community with the intent to transform through your offer, right? To quickly go over those 5 different phases, they are plan, prepare, host launch event, open cart, so when you're actively selling, and wrap up. Strongly recommend going through those 5 different phases in detail in the video I have linked below, on the screen, wherever it's linked. Definitely recommend checking that out. Now, when it comes to planning a launch inside of a list versus a task, so in ClickUp, if you're familiar with ClickUp, you can do things like a task with subtasks, and I strongly recommend just doing it through a list, especially if you're on a paid tier, because then you can categorize things by those phases and you can group them by those phases. So it's not just this massive wall of a million different tasks you need to do, right? So they are broken down into those 5 different phases to help reduce overwhelm and reduce that visual overstimulation. Because when you have a massive project with a lot of different parts and pieces, it's really important to be clear what needs to happen when. And then tip number 2, I recommend having one source of truth for your launch. Typically, this is some sort of launch document. I recommend using the Docs feature inside of ClickUp. It's all in the same place rather than having like a third-party Google Doc, so that kind of tool instead. I recommend having it inside of your ClickUp list. You can have it stored in the list as well, or in whatever long-term planning documents you may have. Now, this is the place where you want to have all of the information for the launch. And this is the only place I want you to have all of the information for your launch. I don't want you to have multiple documents to have to reference as your source of truth. And this is because when inevitably something changes in the project plan for your launch, you have one place to update it and one place for your team to reference if anything does change. So it's very important to keep your team in the loop, and having this, especially if you are outsourcing to a lot of different people to support you in your launch, you want to have some sort of documented source of truth so you can empower your team to support you from the big picture level rather than just going in, completing your tasks, and not really seeing things how they all puzzle piece together, right? So it's very helpful to empower your team to give them that big picture view, and then they can see how their individual tasks kind of support that big picture vision. Now, that's a lot for one document to do, right? But it does really truly help giving them all of the information they need from a bird's eye view. It also provides them that information, like just in case something does accidentally get marked as a separate link or the date is accidentally marked wrong. They know that they can reference that master truth document that has, okay, these are the open cart periods. This is when we're opening cart, the exact time. This is when we're closing cart, the exact time. They can cross-reference that to themselves rather than you needing to, as the manager, go in and review their work. Now, of course, that's never going to go away. You're always going to need to review work just in case, but this allows them to course correct themselves and gives them that information to empower them to make those educated decisions rather than needing to go to you for every question they may have. The third thing I recommend you doing is having a list to map out the content in your content calendar for your launch. Now, I have a very specific way of managing content inside of ClickUp. I actually also have a templatized system for that called Manage Your Content in ClickUp down, which I'll link down below as well. So you can easily see like bird's eye view, okay, what is the plan? You wanna have all of those pieces of information on your content calendar, and you wanna have each individual piece of content in your content calendar. And the reason for that is you can individually track the status of those pieces of content. Because again, let's say for example, something does change last minute and you're halfway through the launch and you know you're about to host your webinar tomorrow, and you decided you want to add a new bonus or you want to shift the offer a little bit. You now have a tracker where you can go and sweep through, okay, which pieces of content will this affect? Obviously it won't affect the pieces of content that have already gone live, but we need to identify which pieces of content are going live in the future so we can comb through them and make sure we're updating it accordingly. So having that tracker for each individual piece of content helps tremendously. And having it as a list inside of ClickUp helps, I'm biased, and helps. It helps you integrate it into an already existing content calendar system that I have inside of ClickUp, which I recommend checking out in the content or in the description down below, but it's not essential. You can also do this inside of Notion. Notion is another fantastic tool for managing content. Personally, I prefer ClickUp for its hierarchy, but you're absolutely welcome to do it via Notion as well. Airtable, I'm less inclined, only because it's kind of obnoxious to copy and paste email copy from Airtable into your email marketing platform. It formats it weird, so it just takes more time. So I don't recommend doing Airtable. And then finally, I recommend setting up a data dashboard, which you can do natively inside of ClickUp. This is something you can maybe do inside of Airtable as well if you have some kind of data tracking system already in Airtable, but you want to connect your checkout payment processing platform to whatever dashboard tool you're using so you can keep track of those sales coming in and you can see the performance of the launch from a bird's eye view the entire time throughout the launch. You can even go as crazy as adding the people who are registering for the webinar and keeping track of all that data as well. This is really helpful when it comes to consistently showing up for your launch and really wanting to get clear on the data. So when you analyze the performance of your launch, you can really see all those pieces of data. You can see maybe where sales were influxed, maybe there's a certain email that went out at the same time because you have that database with your content, right? You can kind of keep track of those individual pieces of information so you can see really where you're getting the most sales. And then it's just fun to see like the list grow as more and more people join your program or join or purchase your offer or whatever the case may be. It's just a fun thing to have as a visual reminder. So yeah, those are my 4 tips for how to organize your launch inside of ClickUp. If you have any questions about managing your launch inside of ClickUp or in general, feel free to leave a comment in the comments down below. I'm happy to answer, and I definitely recommend you checking out the 2 system templates I recommended in this video, both my Manage Your Launch in ClickUp system as well as my Manage Your Content system in ClickUp as well. So check those links out in the description below, and I will see you next time. Bye.